Your other film, Physical Pinball, I think shows how you found certain actors that then wound up to be very important parts of George Washington. So I'm curious to know how you started to approach people like that. You know, people that aren't necessarily actors. How do you get them involved in your film? How do you find them? And then how do you sort of mix that in with perhaps someone that's been around a little longer, such as the father in Physical Pinball?
I mean, you find kids wherever. Like, I always like going where kids are outspoken and have a chance. You find them in a place where they're confident. Like, is that a lot of the casting for George Washington came from like going to teen centers and watching kids. You know, you kind of find the guy that's like in charge of the basketball game. You know, the first one picked. You get the people that have that confidence, that energy and enthusiasm you think is going to translate to not be self-conscious in front of them. Or you get crazy kids. I have a lot of good luck with getting crazy kids. Like, go to find out who the troublemakers are. Which I just think is really fun. I was listening to that commentary on the movie Over the Edge, and they were talking about finding Matt Dillon and stuff. You know, you try to pick the ones that are alive and aggressive and don't give a shit that there's a camera and a boom mic in their face. The girl from Physical Pinball I met at a barber shop because she was getting her hair cut, and it was like 50% off Tuesdays where my friend's a barber cuts hair. So come in and talk to kids, or for kids, like on Tuesdays it was cheap, whatever. So there's a bunch of kids come in. They're sitting in a barber chair. I got nowhere to go. I'll sit there, pretend I'm reading a magazine, and listen to them. And if something interesting would come up in conversation, I'd try to chime in and have a dialogue with them. And then found the girl that I then wrote a role for in a feature. And so it's just all over the place. You keep your eyes open, and just try to push people. The guy that played the dad in it, this guy Eddie Rouse, who played the dad in Physical Pinball, played the dad in Pleasant Grove, is in every movie I've made other than this. He had a little role in All the Real Girls, but he kind of got cut out, but he danced around in one scene as a janitor. But I had a whole love story with him and Patricia Clarkson's character that I really liked and felt was great, but it just made the movie like 2.5 hours long and to be complete. So we edited that. We ended up not having that in the movie, but it's pretty interesting. They're both pissed. But Eddie's great. I met Eddie at a bowling alley when I was making Pleasant Grove, the short, and I was looking at kids, and I was talking to this kid, and he was great. And so I asked I was like, can I meet your dad and see if he'd be cool if you come in and be in this movie? He's like, yeah. So I went over and talked to Eddie, and Eddie's like, no, my son's mom wouldn't let him because he's been causing a lot of trouble at school. She won't let him be in the movie, but I'll be in your movie. And so I was like, sure, come over here and audition for it. And he's like, no, I just don't want to say anything. I just want to have this part. So I kind of gave him this role where he's just banging on crap. And it was just really amazing to work with, just watching this guy run around. So I've just ever since then started writing. He lives out here now. He just finished my buddy's movie in New Orleans, and he's starting to work. So it's pretty great. But it's the unlikely people. It's the unlikely faces and voices that he was in some program, some rehabilitation program at a point, and there was a talent show, and he put on a skit, which I would love to have a videotape of. This is before I met him, but he tells me about this, and that's when he discovered acting. It was a couple years before I'd met him, and then he's just always been looking for his break, and I don't know what he's doing in North Carolina, but now he's out here on the hustle, like everybody.